The Ardennes Forest, winter 1944, a world frozen in silence and fear. Snow blanketed the ground, trees stood like icy sentinels, and the cold was a constant, merciless enemy. For American GIs, the silence was more terrifying than gunfire. It hid a relentless foe, the cold itself. This enemy seeped into their bones, day and night, sapping strength and hope. The real battle was not just against German bullets, but against the wet and cold that crippled thousands. Soldiers lived in snow-filled ditches, their feet submerged in icy mud, their boots and socks soaked through. The cold was a patient predator, slowly dismantling even the toughest men. Lieutenant Jack Lewis, after days in waterlogged foxholes, found his feet numb, then agonizing, chunks of flesh peeling away with his socks. He wasn't alone. Countless others suffered the same fate, their bodies betraying them in the most excruciating way. During the Battle of the Bulge, over 90,000 U.S. soldiers fell to cold injuries, more than landed on Utah Beach on D-Day. Hospitals overflowed, not with gunshot wounds, but with trench foot, frostbite, and exposure. Trench foot, frostbite, exposure. The weather, not the enemy, was taking men out of the fight. This silent epidemic revealed a brutal truth sometimes. The deadliest enemy is the one you can't see. The cold turned their own bodies against them, a relentless force that no weapon could stop. In the Ardennes, survival meant outlasting not just the enemy, but the winter itself. Cold injuries weren't just bad luck, they were the result of failed planning. The high command expected a quick victory and didn't prepare for a brutal winter. Ammunition and fuel took priority over winter clothing. GIs faced the cold in autumn gear. The standard issue M1943 leather boots were no match for the wet, freezing mud. Unlike the Germans' felt-lined boots, American footwear soaked up water and froze solid. Thin wool socks, once wet, only made things worse, and resupply was rare. Soldiers' feet would sweat, socks would freeze, and trench foot would set in, a vicious cycle. The boots meant to protect became instruments of injury. Some men left their frozen boots on for days, too exhausted to fight the inevitable pain. The real failure wasn't courage, it was sending men to a winter war in summer boots. To grasp the horror, you need to know the difference between frostbite and trench foot. Frostbite freezes tissue in sub-zero cold, but trench foot is more insidious. It strikes above freezing, as long as feet stay wet. Dampness and cold break down skin, cut off blood flow, and starve tissue of oxygen. The flesh rots while still attached, a slow, agonizing decay. The body tries to save itself by constricting blood vessels, but wetness pulls heat away 25 times faster than air. Prolonged lack of blood flow leads to nerve damage, swelling, and tissue death. At first, feet just feel numb. The real damage is revealed only when boots come off and pain surges back. Blisters, discoloration, and gangrene follow. Sometimes, only amputation saves a life. Many lost their feet not to explosions but to wet socks. The Ardennes was a perfect laboratory for trench foot snow, mud, and water everywhere. Boots and socks were always soaked, bodies never truly warm. Every hour in wet boots was a countdown to injury or death. The soldiers weren't just cold, they were trapped in a cycle of slow destruction. The science of cold injury was merciless, and ignorance was deadly. In the end, the elements proved as lethal as any enemy. As cold injuries mounted, the army scrambled for solutions. Orders came down: keep feet clean and dry, change socks daily. But in frozen foxholes, with scarce supplies, these orders were a cruel joke. Most soldiers had only 1 or 2 pairs of perpetually damp socks. Washing feet was impossible when water was scarce and freezing. New shoe-pack boots, meant to be waterproof, trapped sweat inside, making things worse. The official solution had a fatal flaw. It ignored the reality on the ground. The gap between headquarters and the front lines was a chasm. Soldiers had to ignore failed doctrine and invent their own ways to survive. In the end, survival depended on ingenuity, not orders. When official gear failed, soldiers turned to desperate ingenuity. They realized sweat was as dangerous as snow, so they improvised a vapor barrier system. The method: a thin sock against the skin, a waterproof layer like waxed paper or cellophane, then a thick wool sock. The barrier trapped sweat, keeping the insulating sock dry and effective. Feet stayed warm and damp, not cold and wet, a crucial difference. This trick, using trash as technology, saved countless toes. It contradicted official advice, but it worked. The vapor barrier principle protected the most important thing, dry insulation. Field-expedient problem-solving triumphed where official solutions failed. In the mud of the Ardennes, a piece of garbage could mean the difference between walking and amputation. GI ingenuity didn't stop at their feet. Soldiers cut up blankets to wrap boots, creating makeshift insulation. Cardboard from ration boxes became extra insoles, absorbing moisture and adding warmth. Pine boughs lined foxholes, trapping air and insulating against the frozen ground. Even weapons got improvised fixes. Graphite from pencils replaced frozen gun oil, and in emergencies, a soldier's own urine thawed jammed machine guns. Every scrap of material became a tool for survival. These men refused to be passive victims. They adapted, shared tips, and learned from each other. Their collective resourcefulness was as vital as any official strategy. In true survival, the mind is the most powerful tool. The ability to see solutions in the ordinary made all the difference. The lessons from the Ardennes aren't just history, they're a survival manual for today. The core principle knowledge and adaptability matter more than expensive gear. The vapor barrier trick, using a plastic bag between socks, can save your feet in any emergency. Everyday items become lifesavers if you know how to use them. The real secret is mindset. See potential in everything around you. A trash bag can be a poncho, a car mat, an insulating seat. Be an active participant in your own survival, not a passive victim. The soldier's legacy is resilience and ingenuity in the face of disaster. We honor them by learning from their creativity and preparing ourselves for the unexpected. Survival is always a battle of wits, and the best tool is the mind.